it has been worth the wait to get here. I think I'm not doing a terrible job of going off on tangents. Digital currency. Before the coronavirus became what it was, Facebook went ahead and made their big presentation, their announcement that they're going to do Libra, their digital currency. And one of the very first world stage responses was from China, saying we had a 1 to 2 year, maybe 1 to 3 year plan for our blockchain technology, and then moving to a national digital coin and, digital yuan. And so their response was, we're now stepping it up. It's not going to be 1 to 3 years. We're going to have it ready in a month or two. What that means is that they saw Libra as being the US. And trust me, coming from the US, Facebook is a massive monster of not just on an economic side, but data collection and surveillance. And a lot of us freedom-loving people don't like that. So the U.S. doesn't automatically mean the citizens equal Facebook. Facebook equals the government. We have opinions. We are so willing to give up, for a little bit of the benefits of free app and being able to talk to people, communicate, follow that timeline that, gets pushed down from every new thing. Staying in contact with each other through Facebook, there's at least 1 billion real users. Now, you got to think that if they say there's like 3 billion users or something, maybe it's 100 million actual different people, because then there's the businesses, then there's all the fake accounts that are used to pump up numbers, and et cetera, et cetera. So it's not really as many as it seems. But we, the people of the U.S., don't necessarily agree with the technology that they use and abuse and make billions and billions of dollars off of. Is a good thing. It's not a fair trade to get a little bit of something for free, to willingly GPS yourself everywhere that you go, to give them the statistical information and demographic information, everything that we earn, everything that we spend, what tax bracket we're in, what our occupations are, what our favorite hobbies are. They have so much cross data. It is disgusting how much they can do with that. I don't have a problem with advertisers having demographics to properly target their marketing programs. The issue that I have there is when it's used for politics, when it's used to steer the masses into a certain direction. They talk about the sheeple stuff. So that kind of stuff. But so China sees that as, this is the U.S. getting a head start. And the point I'm making is that we, the people, the citizens, don't necessarily see it that way. But a lot of people do think, oh, Libra, mass adoption, good thing. And then there is a huge pushback. The independent organization that's made up of a wide range of board of directors and investors is outside of Facebook, but is very thoughtfully, carefully calculated for who they are and what they do. Then on the other side, the actual impact of national currencies, not from a corporation that's in a country, but coming from the government level, digital dollar, digital euro, digital yuan, all these different things. It is going to be a new global battle and a rush to a start. And we think that digital currency means good thing, and digital currency means mass adoption, and mass adoption for Bitcoin and Ethereum and all of our favorite coins has to be a good thing. And anything that gets it into the hands of the average person is a good thing. I am here to give you a very strong warning. Please think this through a little bit further than that. Because the idea from the beginning with Bitcoin, whether we know exactly who the founders are, Satoshi Nakamoto's, the idea was just make better money. And if money can be smart and it can get somewhere faster and cheaper, and we don't have to rely on the process being a third party to pass through, then all of those things are a good thing. So we hear immutable ledger. We hear that it is spread out among a network of computers. They all have to do their part to validate. And it is an immutable ledger. It doesn't go away. That means that technically you're not supposed to be able to change or go back and manipulate information in any way. And if you don't have the issue of unregulated centralized exchanges, then none of the rules of normal finance have to apply. So, I mean, there was an idea that you can technically have something like the dark net, and that's a freedom that people deserve, but we don't want bad people to do bad things. So we don't want Bitcoin or something associated with those kind of bad things. Unfortunately, that's really what put it in the bullseye of regulation. That was the start anyway. This is a real push for power and control, but the idea is that there's this desire for digital currency means freedom. It means that we're not being controlled by the third party, being the governments and the central banks. The negative part of that, in my view, is that the idea that we can crash the evil system and put an end to the power of the stranglehold that central banks have by using Bitcoin and Ethereum, we run into a lot of problems. First of all, store of value means that people are hodling, and the true believers are hodling. And you don't get any movement in a new transacting universe if everybody holds. So the next thing being transacting. Bitcoin is not the greatest form of money. If that was the goal, then it don't do it so hot. And it's not just about block size. It's not, about big chunks of data, small chunks of data. It might include layer 2 solutions and Lightning Network and all that kind of stuff. But the fact that you are searching for those solutions means that there's a problem. Bitcoin is great for what it does, which is bring people a sense of being able to transact in a different way and proving that blockchain absolutely works for the things it's good at. Ethereum comes along to prove that there's something more than a store of value or transacting that could be very beneficial, which is the actual technology, the smart contracts, and building things on top of things, which means everything from ERC20s to fungible, non-fungible, using things in apps and games and agreements between people, lenders, and smart contracts can be used to release value in transactions. And all these different coins that are built on top of Ethereum are, it's brilliant. It's great. So we have the benefits of Bitcoin just creating, a workable model that everybody jumped on because of the early days of mining, and Ethereum, which proves that you can make this stuff smart enough to really benefit transactions. And then people can do everything from stable coins to everything else based on that technology. Super fantastic. And the technical side of it really does resolve itself. It works out a lot of the technical kinks that don't work with regular fiat. And it takes some of the control and power out of the hands of those who manipulate money, overprint money, cause inflation. We can build good economic models into new money and then see where that experiment goes. Great thing. Here's my concern, is that any kind of mass adoption is not good adoption. The answer to mass adoption has been really obvious for the past several years, but there's a conflict in philosophy, and so I'm going to go over a lot of that in its own video. But I do want to drive home, if, let me make sure that I say this the way I want to. When I do the next video, I'm going to go more into the fallout of COVID-19, specifically towards crypto and how it's going to impact society and what to watch out for. But so I don't want to over stress that right now, but just realize that when we think of mass adoption, we think of, we want the good coins to survive and we want people to use, regardless of which tribe you're in, because people are getting very tribal and dedicated towards only one idea or coin: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple, Litecoin, and then all the others that are popping up: Algo and BTM, XLM, all of these stuff, privacy coins, security tokens, those that provide utility, those that are in the commodity category, on and on and on. People want to think that something launches us into mass adoption and then suddenly everybody knows about crypto and they want to invest in it. Please realize that there has to be a balance between this economy not completely breaking down and people having anything to invest in crypto. What country are you from? What did you buy your first Bitcoin with? Your first fraction of a Bitcoin with? Did you buy it with thin air? Did you mine it? Most people aren't. If you're successfully mining it, you have a very expensive ASIC-based system. ASIC. as it's talked about with Ethereum and Bitcoin, that both of them are going to require the more expensive $3,000 to $4,000 brand new ones in order to power through the halvings, and just the general things get more difficult as it goes along to build in the deflationary scarcity principles. And if you didn't have $4,000 or $5,000 in cash to buy your Bitcoin with, then you probably don't have the same $3,000 to $5,000 to make a rig to be able to mine it. So the only way to get into crypto without needing fiat in one way or another, or charging it to your fake fiat credit card side of things, is if you're doing something that is like faucet mining and things that you didn't pay for, but that you're allowing your computer to be used to do things. Writing on a platform like Steemit or now Hive or PublishOX, the different things that are available where you get paid in tips and then over time you can get a few bucks. Doing the Brave browser where you can get a few bucks. And convert that into, giving up some of your personal freedom and identification, KYC, you can get a few dollars. And what is the value to the trade-off there? So, if you hit mass adoption at the exact same time that everybody's out of jobs and doesn't have any money to buy digital, whatever they're able to scrape up is going to go towards food and shelter first. So mass adoption is going to require a healthy, robust economy no matter what. The next part being that if we have China versus Russia versus US versus everybody else, the European Union, for their digital currency, coming from a government side, we're going to see more and more and more of the playing of games of what plays out in the regular world. And once again, it's human nature. It's selfishness, power, greed, the primary driving forces of FUD and FOMO. FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt. FOMO, fear of missing out. We're greedy if we think that we're not in on something that is going to go sky high, and we're greedy if we're afraid that we're going to lose everything that we just put in. Either way, the government political side of that is manipulative, and it's not going to be the kind of mass adoption that we want. There's already push from the United Nations level, and so that includes everybody. The need for digital currency, cheaper, faster transacting. If it comes from them, they are serving it down to us, and we're going to be expected to use theirs or nothing else. The regulation for KYC and the ability that whether it is legally right or not, it's very easy to just say anything that has been offered as a digital currency that, let's just say, that's not a stable coin is a security. Well, that's wrong. It's rubbish, but it doesn't matter. If they say that that's the case, they can say the only thing you're allowed to use is this. People will say, well, I'll just use a VPN. Well, I mean, they blacklist VPNs. Every single address that's on a VPN, expensive or free, eventually ends up in a category that can't be used because they track where IPs are coming from, where they're bouncing off of. Regardless of whether it's yours or whether it passes through something else, the VPN side of things might reduce things 10 or 20%, but that's only for a short time. Then there's the masking transactions by passing it through, basically laundering digital money. Well, all they have to do is to outlaw that to scare off the new mass adoption. Idealists might try to use that anyway, but there's measures for everything that is a solution to keep the wheels turning on Bitcoin and Ethereum and all the big coins, all the ERC20s as well. Everything that seems like it's going to benefit those things, there's a very simple way to just cut one end or the other, the transacting end or the collecting end. And I promise you, if something were passed that made it illegal to use the Brave browser, they're not just going to say, forget it, just keep using it. In the same way that it right now is only connected to Uphold because you do KYC, and that makes it legal for now. So the fight for power and control, we want mass adoption that comes from free people being able to use things freely as they wish, whether it's centralized or decentralized, whether it's direct through wallets, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The rules can be placed on any of those ends, on the wallet technology, on the browser, Brave browser technology, on sites like Steemit and Hive, what's allowed on the internet versus what's allowed in a country. All these things will affect mass adoption. So the really sad and simple side of that is mass adoption comes from volume, period. End of story. A company cannot prevent dying on the market without use. And in the same way that, volume could come from everybody selling when they're scared and everybody buying when they see an opportunity. The normal balance of things is that the more people that are aware of a coin, the more people are going to transact with it. And transaction eventually leads to FOMO, which makes it go up, and FUD, which eventually makes it go down, whether those things are real and tangible or not. So really and truly, mass adoption comes from volume. Volume comes from liquidity. Liquidity comes from trading on a legitimate exchange. We all would probably prefer to be able to use our own wallets, which means that we own our private keys, going directly transacting through a platform that is on a blockchain, not owned by the third party's use of information back and forth, that also possibly, potentially, somehow has some level of support, which means the support could actually be on the wallet side. It could be somewhere in a third-party transacting side. But regardless, the reason that DEX hasn't outgrown Binance and the other monsters of the industry is because the volume stinks. And the volume stinks because the liquidity stinks, and vice versa. It's a self-fulfilling loop, not a self-fulfilling prophecy in this case, but it is a loop. And that loop is the reason that we don't have better options. So between regulation, KYC, open-ended potential for regulation getting even worse, the fact that the digital coins that are nationalized coins are not going to bring the kind of mass adoption that we want, the best thing that you can do to support digital currency is to use it. And so I'm going to go into that more and more, but I don't want you to think that COVID equals digital dollar equals mass adoption. Mass adoption means that the halving is going to go, fantastic for Bitcoin and everything's going to go through the roof. We probably have a lot of hard times ahead of us, and this may be a longer hard time than we were already facing. I mean, 97% down in 2018 and 87% down in 2019 was not helpful to mass adoption. But a lot of it could have been avoided purely by not buying into FUD and not buying into the narrative. Also, I'm very unpopular in this opinion, but watching all the bad coins die out does not help. It really doesn't. Do you want all the exchanges to only have 10 coins to choose from, and you can trade them with Bitcoin, Ethereum, or a fake version of the dollar? Because it doesn't compound the amount of use. It actually reduces the amount of potential transacting from the top coins to other things. The more options you have, the more things that are moving up and down in their own natural flow and the news sources and what these small projects are able to accomplish, the more that pumps the volume of the larger coins. It's a real correlation. So don't be all gung-ho to see everything that you don't like fail. Everything that pumps what you are holding is actually a benefit to the others and vice versa. So if you care deeply about, you bought XRP at $1 and you're sick of seeing it at, a tenth of its value or a fifth of its value, bad talking all the smaller coins than XRP is not going to help that. Encouraging volume and liquidity between all of the coins helps all of the coins, and it's a fact. So mass adoption comes from volume comes from liquidity comes from trading on a legitimate exchange. The problem with that is it's not easy because not much happening with exchanges is legitimate. And there is a war from the upper level, the governments, to make that even more difficult. So we are in this together. Let's be in this together. Let's learn from each other. And I hope that I'm offering something valuable in that process. And the next video, I'm going to go into more about the real dangers from the impact that COVID is going to have, and keep that tied directly into crypto. So I hope that you found this interesting. What I'm really looking forward to is doing videos that might help you with trading, learn how to do spot trading using limit orders, and to keep it very simple and straightforward, and how to watch for the patterns that matter. And I'm not so anti drawing triangles and Fibonacci and futures and options and all the different things. I personally see risks that are involved with those that make it I'm looking to add something of value to those and enhance that information. You can do with the information what you please. So I hope that you have found this useful and helpful, and I hope that you'll share this with other people. It's not going to go anywhere on its own, but if you think that it's worth seeing more of this kind of thing, then please share it with other people. Thank you guys so much. God bless you, and for now, Gordon Freeman out.